Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Akshay. Today I'm talking about the top things you need to look out for at Sacramento Regionals coming up this weekend and what teams. So first off, we gotta start off with Charizard Sun. One LAIC, I think it's gonna be here in Sacramento too. I think this is a really strong team, but I don't think we're gonna see it winning again. I don't think it'll win another big tournament for at least a while, and I have one good reason. This team is inconsistent. It is hard to get consistency out of a team that heavily relies on Sleep Powder and Heat Wave. These two moves are going to miss a ton, and you can lose games off that. I do think this is a good team, and it's going to be very strong, but I do think with how much this team has a target on its back right now, and just how inconsistent Sleep Powder can sometimes feel, I think this team is going to be it's going to struggle a bit more than I think we think. I do think the Ursaluna mode helps it a lot because it does kind of bring that consistency that the team needs. With, say, like Porygon 2, Torkoal, Ursaluna, that's a bit more consistent. But I think overall the Sun mode is going to be a bit more of a struggle. But speaking of Porygon 2, Ursaluna, let's talk about our next core, which is going to be P2 Ursaluna, specifically like the Trick Room with the moves. I think this team's going to do great. I think P2 Ursaluna is still very good. I think being on the Sun team is not going to help its the target on its back, but I do think this team is good. I do think Taunt is a problem, but I think overall into the meta, this team is very strong. You can consistently get a Trick Room with these two. Porygon 2 Ursaluna both do good damage, especially if you get the download boost. And overall, P2 Ursaluna I think is going to be very good, especially with all of the hyper offense around, and say you can combine it with, say, some fast Pokemon like Dragapult, and even, say, Sneasler, and I think you end up with a really interesting team. That these kind of teams that have, like, you say, like, I think the half Trick Room teams really like Ursaluna P2, and I think if you don't want a full Trick Room team, this is the best team to use for it just because it's really good. But overall, let's switch, but then you also think, switching to hard Trick Room, Hatterene and DD is going to be very good as well. I think this team can come back, especially with Indeed Male being really good, but I think you're still going to see Indeed Female. And I think still Hard Trick Room still very much has a place in this meta with just being very aggressive. You're getting a lot of damage. I think overall that's going to help these Hard Trick Room teams do a ton and overall be very good. So I think Hard Trick Room is another team that going into this is going to be a good threat. Next, I actually think we're gotta go with just Sand. I think Tyranitar Sand is really big, specifically because of the Sun teams. I think there's gonna be a lot more Sun teams, so Sand's the counter to Sun, I'd say right now. Because I think actually Tyranitar Arcanine is gonna be really good. I've seen teams with this duo going to Sacramento. I think Tyranitar, especially as Soulfest, is very strong. Add in a lot of Pokemon that aren't going to be taken. Like, you got your Rock types, you got Goldango, I think is a really underrated Pokemon. You got Excadrill if you really want to be fast. But I also think there's the others. Like, there's so many different sets. I've ran a weakness policy Tyranitar next to Bulldoze Farigiraf, and I think that overall these Pokemon just have are just so solid into the meta, and weather is really important. And I do think I think weather's Rock Piercers. So Sand's gonna beat Sun, specifically, but the next weather team is gonna be Rain, and that's gonna beat Sand. So Rain's you have Archalon. I think Archalon's actually in a really good spot, considering you got two different Archalon modes. You got the Stamina with, like, say, Mousehold. You got, like, that team, but then you've with kind of just the standard team. You're always gonna have Pelipper. But then I think there's the other team, which is sometimes you also see an Archalon on its own with Power, which actually I think is very interesting. Because you're usually running your Stalwarts if you're worried about Redirection or Sturdy, and you're running a very aggressive, usually Stellar or Electric, to hit an Electro Shot. Sometimes you'll have Pelipper on team, sometimes you won't. But these aggressive Archalons, I think, are really strong right now. I think with the speed being a bit lower, I think it's really good. Sturdy's really good because you're not getting close combat. I do think some, like, Dragapult Sneasler is a bit of a problem. But overall, I think these two are going to be a really good duo. But then you've also got stuff such as, but I do think Assault Vest Archelon is still going to be a very strong Pokemon, especially even just regular rain without beat up. Like, you got Basket Legion and do insane amounts of damage. Choice Band, Terra Water, Wave Crash, KOs Porygon 2, which I think is very important going into this tournament. Because of Peach Ursula and just this team, I think is a good matchup. And it beats both Sun and Sand, which I think are going to be pretty popular. So I do think this is the best weather right now. Rain's always good, but I do think it's going to be a very dangerous team to go against. And I do think, like, Rain's another one of the teams we got to watch out for. Other teams, I think we got to talk about Sneasler. Sneasler Bounce still going to be good. It's been around all whole format. You pair it with Dragapult a lot of the time. You see it paired with Kingambit, Rillaboom. I think these teams, with especially coaching, are going to be very strong and overall be a interesting team to face. I think these teams are really good. You got the Hyper Offense, you got Fake Out Support, you got Setup, you had some special attackers, another Sportmon, and you're in a really good spot. However, I do think the other one you gotta think about is Unburden, and then Grass Seed or Psychic Seed. I think this is a really deadly combo, and I think these two will be another good team to look out for, especially, like, say, Terraflying Acrobatics. I think it's really good. Overall, I think Sneasler, especially Sneasler Bounce, is going to be a really good team as well, and I think Sneasler is not going away and will still be around. Next team is going to be your Dragonite Balance. Like Dragonite, you got Multi-Scale, which, because less intimidates. And Steelers have been kind of lower, but you got your Dragonite, Garchomp usually is on these teams as well. Then usually Ninetales. I feel like this is kind of the base core for it, and then usually you'll see like a Kingambit or something like that. Or even Rillaboom. Like, you get stuff like this. I think these teams are actually very interesting. So first off, you're usually going to be running Snow Warning. I think Choice Specs is kind of in the meta item on Ninetales right now. Like, you run Terra Ghost so you can get faked out, and you're going to click Blizzard. But you also got Freeze Drive for rain teams. I think these two moves are really good. You got Rillaboom to give you extra setup, because you can have, like, usually it's Dragonite, but I think it's Soulfest Dragonite that's really good. But you're always going to have your Lumberry set with kind of your Terra Blast Flying. I do think this is another good set. You are very weak to ice with these teams, so that's why you usually have a Ninetales and usually Kingambit, two Pokemon that don't really need to worry about ice types. I do think Blizzard Spam's not a great spot right now, but I do think there is enough Ninetales kind of where this team could struggle against some ice teams. Some other fringe teams I think could do good. I think Weezing could do good, because there's a lot of Pokemon that really need their abilities right now. Neutralizing Gas shuts them down. Examples being, you're going to have Archelon really wants its ability a lot of the time. Pelipper wants its ability. Jumpluff isn't actually one that really wants their ability. If you kind of give it a Jumpluff speed boost, it's still fast, but it can get outsped by faster Pokemon. So say a team with Weezing and a very strong attacker that's fast. Let's just see. Let's say you're a bit crazy. You have Weavile. Suddenly you can go for a Triple Axle and try to take down a Jumpluff, and you get like some fast Pokemon, and you really start threatening with Weezing. I do think you got stuff like Specs Weezing is a thing now. I don't think it's the best idea. I think still bulky Weezing, say Citrus Berry is the best, and just being very disruptive with Will-O-Wisp. So you got Dondozo. I think Dondozo is gonna be good. Unaware is really strong in this format, how much Kingambit and like coaching stuff's around. And I think Dondozo overall is going to be very strong, but overall there's a lot of teams that are going to be good. Tell me what you think are going to be top teams Sacramento overall. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys, subscribe, enjoy the video, I'll see you next time. Bye.